We're going to go through four different shapes here, and we're going to talk about which of the shapes this could actually be. And we learned in that previous section above where you needed to read and look at those pictures what each one of these things means. This shape could be many different shapes. It could just be one. But we're going to go through the process and go through each one and figure out which one of these shapes matches what we have right here. Okay, so we're going to start with the quadrilateral. Quadrilateral just has to have four sides. We've got four sides, so it's a quadrilateral. So I will circle that. That's definitely a quadrilateral. Is it a square? Okay, a square has to have a few different things. Square has to have all equal sides. Okay, it does have all equal sides. I could draw this line in here to even show that. All those sides are equal. Now, one thing a square also has is 90-degree angles, or right angles. This does not have square angles, or right angles. So automatically, square is out. Okay? If it doesn't have everything it needs, it's not that shape. Rectangle. Rectangle has opposite equal sides. Okay? Yep. But rectangle also has 90-degree angles. This does not have 90-degree angles, so it just cannot be a rectangle. Won't work. Parallelogram. Parallelogram has to have opposite sides parallel. Now if I look at this, these two would be opposite sides. Those are definitely parallel. If we run this one this way and this one like this, they're never going to touch. The other ones, if I go like this and go like this, those are not going to touch either. So that definitely is a parallelogram because it has opposite sides parallel. Rhombus. To be a rhombus, all we have to have is all equal sides or all congruent sides. All the sides are the same. This is definitely a rhombus. Last one's a trapezoid. A trapezoid actually has to have only one pair of parallel sides. Only one. Okay? We have, those are parallel. That would be one pair of parallel sides. Those are parallel. That would be two pairs of parallel sides. It can only have one, so that's out. Something you'll be able to notice probably as we do these is that trapezoid is almost kind of like the opposite of parallelogram. Not really opposite's not the right word, but parallelogram has opposite sides parallel. Or two, and I can write this down too, two pairs of opposite sides parallel. Trapezoid only has one pair. So you're not going to be able to have both for trapezoid or parallelogram. A lot of the other ones you can have more than one, but this you can't have both. So if we review here, this shape is a quadrilateral because it has four sides. It's a parallelogram because it has opposite sides parallel. And it's a rhombus because all the sides are the same. It's not a square because it doesn't have right angles. It's not a rectangle because it doesn't have right angles. And it's not a trapezoid because it has more than one pair of parallel sides. So this could be three different things. All right, we're going to go through our different progressions again with this shape to see what it all could be. When you work on your assignment after these videos, this is what I want you to do. I want you to go part by part and see what it is and what it isn't. Now, I'm going to start down here this time because I know this is a trapezoid. I could just look at this and tell trapezoid. Okay, it only has one pair of parallel sides. Let's go deeper into that. This side right here is parallel to this side right here. But this side going up and down is not parallel to this one. If I kept going with this and I kept going with this, they're eventually going to touch across. So there's only one pair of parallel sides. One pair. So it's definitely a trapezoid. Okay? Which means that it can't be a parallelogram. not going to be a parallelogram because we'd have to have two pairs be parallel, and they're not. Only one pair is parallel, so it's a trapezoid. Okay. Now let's go back up to the top here. Quadrilateral, 4 sides. Check. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. All right. Square, all equal sides. No, those sides are not all equal, so it's definitely not a square. I don't even need to go to the next part. I know it's not a square because all the sides aren't equal. Okay. Rectangle, opposite sides are equal. Definitely not. Opposite sides are not equal. That's out. And it couldn't have been either one of these either because they would have to have all right angles. We only have 2 right angles. Okay. Now the last one we need is a rhombus. And if it's not a square, it can't be a rhombus because a rhombus has to have all sides equal. All the sides are not equal. Okay. So basically all we have here is we've got a quadrilateral. That's a trapezoid. A lot of times when you have trapezoids, it's not going to be anything else. And, I'm not sure if it can actually be anything else if it's a trapezoid. Okay, so just keep that in mind. This is a classic trapezoid right here. Other ways you'll see a trapezoid drawn, this may be more familiar here, is this. Definitely a trapezoid. Okay, we've got our parallel side, one pair of parallel sides. If I draw this line up and I draw this line up, they're crossing, so they will not be parallel. This is another good example of a trapezoid. Now, this shape is your traditional square right here. I can look at this and I know it's a square. I've seen what a square looks like. I know it's a square. We've got all sides equal, and we've got all right angles. That is definitely a square. Okay? Everybody's seen a square before. But it can be a lot of other things. So let's go through and see what it is. Okay? Is it a quadrilateral? Does it have 4 sides? Yep. So it's quadrilateral. Is it a rectangle? Let's go through the list here. Are opposite sides equal? Okay? Those 2 sides are equal. They're opposites. Those 2 sides are equal. They're opposites. And it has the 90-degree right angles. This is also a rectangle. Any square is going to be a rectangle. Okay. Now, opposite, if you have a rectangle, it's not going to be a square. That's kind of confusing, but if you draw it out and you go through these steps, I think you'll be able to figure it out pretty easily. This is definitely a rectangle because the opposite sides are equal, and we've got 90-degree angles. Let's go parallelogram. Opposite sides parallel. 2 pairs of opposite sides parallel. Okay, so let's look here. That's parallel to that, so there's 1 pair. That's parallel to that. That's 2 pairs. 2 pairs of parallel sides, check. Also could be called a parallelogram. Okay, looks like we've got our rhombus next. For rhombus, all equal sides. They're all equal. Well, we got a rhombus. Okay, so far we have had everything. We call this shape everything in the book so far, except for the trapezoid. Okay, it's not going to be a trapezoid because for a trapezoid, only 1 pair of sides can be parallel. Here we've got 2. We've got our parallels here. If it was just those 2, then it would be a trapezoid. But these 2 are also parallel, so trapezoid's out. So it could be a quadrilateral because it has 4 sides. It is a square because it's got all sides equal and it's got 90-degree angles. It is a rectangle because opposite sides are equal and we've got all 90-degree angles. It is a parallelogram because opposite sides are parallel, 2 pairs of parallel sides. It is a rhombus because all sides are equal. And then it is not a trapezoid. It's not a trapezoid because we've got more than 1 pair of parallel sides. Parallel, parallel. We've got 2 pairs of parallel sides, so it's a parallelogram rather than a trapezoid.